Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of Day 4 with the man Frank Scalish. Day 4 number 182.
182. We're making it, man. We're making it.
And we have some news for you.
We have news. Do you want to do the news? You do the news.
Let's start out with the good news.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Why don't you announce to the folks the good news that we have for the loyal Day 4 listeners that they will benefit from over the next several months?
Okay, so we were putting our heads together because you guys are fantastic and you support us a ton. We are putting a program together where we are going to give away, no strings attached, $50 gift cards for, I believe, 6 months. And
2 a month?
It's, I believe, 2 a month.
You don't have to buy any. You have to do anything. Just
No.
$50. Because we were sitting there and we were like, dude, we got like such loyal listeners. And then we came up with it, and you said, let me run it by the powers to be.
We ran
now,
it up
in full disclosure, we wanted an astronomical amount of $50 gift cards.
Yeah, in full disclosure, we were almost unrealistic.
they lowered that number, but we still got it.
Right. So everybody that watches this show is going to have an opportunity to win one of these things.
And here's the beauty of it. I don't have to mail anything to you to get it. So
and I don't either, actually.
It'll just be a code. And then
Correct.
We'll do it through, I don't know, we could do a contest. We could do something for anything. We could just randomly pick listeners from the live show, all sorts of different stuff.
Right. So what we're going to do is we'll figure out the details on how we're going to do the giveaways, and then we'll announce it prior so there's no surprises. And then bam, we're just going to start shoveling money out there. You guys have been great. This has been an absolute blast, and I want to keep the drive alive. So we're giving back. That's our thing. We're giving back.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Greatly appreciate it. And then, do you have an update on the Frank Scalish one-of-a-kind signature series shadow box that went for an astronomical amount of money for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame?
Yeah, Joseph McCloskey won it. We're going to have him on the show. I talked to him for a couple hours the other day. It was an absolute blast. And so we'll have him on the show. I'll give Joe, I'll give you a call and let you know, time, et cetera, et cetera. It'll be good. And then we'll yuck it up on the show. We'll tell stories. It'll be good. It'll be a lot of fun.
He a big fisherman?
Yeah.
Where's he from?
Pennsylvania.
Okay, so you guys kind of relate. Little Great Lakes, little Northeast action.
Yeah, he's a little more coastal than me, though. But we had some lakes that we talked about that are fringe, far for me to drive in a day, far for him to drive in a day, but we've both been on them.
That's a valid question. G-Man Adventure wants to know, wasn't that the cop from the Godfather movie, McCloskey?
Allegedly. So anyhow, I don't know, but that's a good trivia.
Peter Long says, does these gift certificates have anything to do with Bassmaster no entry fee? No, but ironically, that gift certificate is now 20% of 40th place payout.
I was told there would be no math.
You're a former Elite Series guy. We've been chatting a little bit about this. Like I said last night on the show, I had Josh on from Pro Bass Adventures. He talked about how we're partnering together for the trips down to El Salto and back. Right, we did an hour and 45 minutes on fishing in Mexico. We got to get you in on one of these, Frank. I've
actually been to Mexico fishing, on a lake called Agua Milpa.
Yeah. I think you've told those stories before. He's friggin' blasted.
Dude, it was off the chart.
So
anyway, go ahead.
Here's the deal on this. And I mentioned this a little bit last night. There's some more stuff that's going on behind the scenes at Bassmaster. And it's interesting. Snap judgment is that it's amazing, and then you look at the payout, and the snap judgment is that it's horrible. I will know more about this by tomorrow afternoon, by Friday afternoon. And then I feel like I will be able to really dive in. What the plan is, practice starts for that Bass Nation Championship on Saturday. I will most likely do a live show that covers this topic on Tuesday evening. Wednesday is an off day for the Bass Nation. And since this is my primary source of income and not Bass Nation events, I'll probably come home and do a show on that. But there is a lot of talking points in this based on the information that is out there.
Yes.
So let's chat about it, Frank.
Speculation, conjecture. These
no. Let's just chat about what has been said for the information that's out there. Because I mean, the breaking news is Bassmaster Leagues will no longer pay to play, and then the subtitle under it is professional bass fishing will never be the same. Period. Ever. Period. And it talks about it, but then when you go down to the payout, $100,000 for first, 20th for fourth, $10,000 for 10th. But I mean, 27th is $1,000 and 40th is $500. 15th is $5,000. Now, granted, there's no entry fees on there, but like, I mean, you've been on the road yet. Like, how far does that money go, Frank? Even if there is no entry fee. That
it doesn't go anywhere. To be brutally honest with you, whatever you say you could win, you got to cut it by about 35%. Your winnings got to be cut by about 35% because you're going to have taxes and unexpected expenses, aka breakdowns, whatever. You cut it back because that's not really what you get. I was fortunate enough in my career to have some years where I won a lot of money, but when it all shook down at the end, I was taking home about 48 to 52% of my winnings was actually going into the bank. So when you are talking about, for example, fourth place is 20 grand, you're talking about 4,000 maybe going into your bank account after that.
Now, here's what I find interesting, and I would love to get your opinion on it because I don't really have I don't know what to think about this.
Okay, go ahead.
So the big bag of the event, these are contingencies per event. Now there's some freaking serious money in this. The big bag of the event is $2,000. So out of the entire, you catch the biggest 5-fish stringer, $2,000. Like that's hard to do. I mean, you're talking about 100 of some of the best guys in the world, 4 days in a row. $2,000. I like that. Bass Track is $1,000. So that's a new thing that they've done to incentivize. It's the Ed Lochran Award is basically what they call it. The closer your Bass Track weight is to your actual on stage weight, they give you $1,000. That's something Mike Anelli never has to worry about winning. But I think I think Ed's won it like night. He's like the Tom Brady of the Bass Track Award. He's always within a couple ounces. So $1,000. So that's just an incentive not to say that you got all 2-pounder. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now this is where it's very interesting to me. Daily big bass, elite contingency awards per event. And this is where I'll have to clear. Daily big bass.
Go ahead.
$4,000.
Really?
And overall big bass for the event is $2,000. So someone will win $6,000 just on big bass. Now, if you go back to Bass's mantra since the split, big bass, big stage, big dream. I might have gotten that in the wrong order. Big stage, big dreams, big bass, big dreams, big stage. It's one of those three in some order. So that really highlights the big bass. Now, I'm not a professional angler making my living with that money, but as someone who does, what are your thoughts that big bass is worth as much as 11th, between 10th and 11th place, or 11th and 12th place in the standings?
Yeah, that's lopsided. That's lopsided. Here, look, I never gave a crap about big bass.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't feel like that's something. Granted, you can put yourself in position to catch more big, but we've done shows about it. You can talk about guys who win it, but as a whole, 99%, that is something that just happens. It's not a skill set that you're targeting for the big bass. Correct. It just comes along with the event.
Correct. And so I never put much credence in big bass. I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, to be successful tournament angler, it's all about consistency. And so I would rather be catching all 4-pounders than a bunch of 1.5 pound, 2-pounders and catch an 8.
Rewarded for consistency. So when it comes to the contingencies between the big bass, big bag, bass track, big bass, and overall big bass, that payout and contingency total is 300. Oh, total payout and contingencies is $340,000. I would venture to say that you could at least juice some of that lower payout by I don't know why you can't get, like, I was talking about this on the way home, like Polaris to give an ATV for big bass or something that's worth a couple freaking grand or something that if guys don't want, they can flip, but bass isn't out any of their money. Like, and take that money. I mean, daily big bass. Okay. If they're doing it all 4 days, they might just be doing it the first 2 days of the full field. I don't know. That's where I need to clarify this stuff. But let's hypothetically say that they're doing it all 4 days with 8 events. So 8 times 4 is 32, right?
Yeah.
That's an extra $128,000 that's just going into the daily big bass.
Yeah. See, to me, it's all, I would throw that money in the payout. And I would do exactly like what you said. I would get sponsors to donate product for big bass, because at the end of the day, you're better off finishing in, what is it, 25th place? Where's the 4,000 mark?
The exact 4,000 mark is 21st place.
Okay, so if you finish in 21st place in every tournament, you're going to have a run at Angler of the Year.
And you're going to make
run at it
$32,000.
Right, 100%. So by taking all that contingency money and rolling it back into the payout, you're getting your payout up there. And then here's another thing. So if you're going to get $1,000 for being the closest to Bass Tracker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a guy can conceivably catch 5 pounds and say 5 pounds, and he goes in and it's 5 pounds.
Yeah, he gets $1,000. I get that. The problem that they were running into was, this is a well-known fact behind the scenes. You have guys who, especially on days 1 and 2, they didn't want to put in, hey, I'm cracking them, because they don't want the camera boat coming, they don't want the photographers coming, so they tell their marshal how big was that.
Right, and they don't want other anglers coming on top of them either.
Well, spectators, yeah, not other anglers. The other anglers can't see Bass Track. Gotcha. You're not supposed to look at Bass Track, but you'd have guys that would say they had 12 pounds and then come in with 19. So this incentivizes, hey, like, kind of put it in fairly close.
Yeah, I get that part of it.
One of the things that I think is interesting, and you talked about the sponsorship, when you look at this, outside of the guys who, let's just flat out say it, suck. They don't cash a check. They've never cashed a check. And at this point, they're only here for 2 years. That's right. Who this benefits, because they're not 45,000 in the or 9 events. Sorry, there's 9 events. They're not 45,000 in the hole.
Right. So,
but that middle and top guys, brutal.
It's brutal. So here's the deal. Okay. Cause I can only talk about when I fish the elites. Yep. So when I fished the elites, the first thing was, it was a one and done. The year you qualify, you have to re-qualify.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So what we wound up having to do was we had to not only fish the elites, but stay and fish the opens at the same time, because if you run the risk of dropping out of your first season if you throw a bad event up. So you had to requalify the same year basically, because what would happen is, let's say you didn't fish the opens. Since you were one and done, the following season you would have to go back into the opens and fish your way back into the elites. So now you're a year behind. You follow me? So what's going to happen now is guys are going to get their 2-year deal to be in the elites. So everybody's second year, and it's not going to be the same second year for all anglers. Clearly, it's when you qualify. So what you're going to have is you're going to, you have the opportunity, if something should arise where you throw a bad event or you break down and can't participate and you don't requalify, you've got that 1-year grace period. But then you got the second year, you have to fish to requalify again, because if something happens in the second year, you're screwed.
Yeah. So this is another thing that several of the Elite Series anglers that I've spoken with pointed out that is not understood. So last year in the Angler of the Year payout, it was $100,000 for first place, then 35, 30, 26, 24. So sixth place in the Angler of the Year payout last year got $20,000, and they paid all the way down to, I think, 40th, $5,000. But like 10th place got 14 grand. This is just at the end of the year. They cut you a check for your Angler of the Year finish.
This 11 this AOL thing cracks me up.
AOY. AOL is you've got mail.
AOY thing cracks
11th through 30th was 10 grand, and then 31st through 40th was 5 grand. Now I understand there's no entry fees here. That's $45,000 that you don't have to worry about right off the top. That is amazing. Especially if you're a younger guy, especially if you're working on it, like that's 45 grand you don't have to worry about. They're only paying 5 in the Angler of the Year this year instead of the 40. First still gets 100. Second, they bumped it up to 50 grand. Third is now 25 grand, where it had been 30 grand. Fourth is 12,500, where it had been 26,000. And fifth is 6,250, where it had been 24,000. So they added an extra 15,000 to second. But then there is no Angler of the Year payout for 6th through 40th. Like it's just gone.
Yeah, you're going to kill me on this, but in the Angler of the Year race, Angler of the Year is the deal. I wouldn't even care if they only paid down the top 3 in the Angler of the Year race. I wouldn't care, because
that's fair.
Because the Angler of the Year, that's the epitome of consistency and great fishing. Okay, so you pay first, second, and third because those guys were banging it out all year.
Oh wait, no. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, you're right. No.
What?
Elite Series payouts. Okay, yeah, you're right.
But
I was right. I thought I clicked the wrong thing. I hadn't. That is absolutely correct what I just said.
But you see what I'm saying, and then they can take all that below Angler of the Year money and throw that back into the payouts.
Okay.
Because here, the reality of it is you're rewarded for being the best of the best that particular year, and that's the Angler of the Year. So give the dude the money because he deserves it, because he fished his ass off. He or she fished their asses off.
I can get behind that.
So they deserve it. So that's more money that can go into the payout. All right.
I'm on board with that. And then the other thing that changed was the Bassmaster Classic payout.
Yeah, that I'm not 100% sure I agree with.
So it's still $300K for first, 50 for second, 40 for third, 30 for fourth, 25 for fifth, 22, all the way down. So $20,000 for 10th. Now remember, every time you made the Classic prior, for as long as I can remember, it's 10 grand.
Right.
That kicks your year off. You make the Classic, you're getting 10 grand.
Correct.
No entry fee. So 25th pays $12,000 and 16th pays $13,000. So The difference between 10th and 20th is $8,000. They did graduate it, so every place actually pays more. Love that. I've always hated the fact that a guy could finish 18th and a guy could finish 40th and they get paid the same damn thing.
I'll get behind that.
Even if it's $1.50 more, it's more.
Right.
That means every place means something.
I could get behind that.
And they did that on the Elite Series too. I like that. I don't like just the, hey, everybody, whether you made it by an ounce or whether you missed the top 10 by an ounce, shouldn't just be 10 grand.
Right.
You should be rewarded for that.
Right. So
now
go
ahead. Oh, no, here's where it gets interesting then. So if you miss the cut in the Classic, so if you're working the expo floor, you are most likely losing money fishing the Bassmaster Classic because 26 through 58 only gets $2,500.
Yeah.
When you talk about pre-practice, when you talk about the 8 days that you're there, all of that stuff, you're bringing family in, you're fishing it at $2,500. You are losing money for your Bassmaster Classic experience.
Right. And to me, so to me, ever since I was probably 12 years old, 13 years old, to me, the Bassmaster Classic was everything. It was everything that you wanted to be in as a fisherman. It was like the Holy Grail. I believe it should be treated as the Holy Grail. I don't think it should be diluted. If anything, I think it should become more prestigious. Like I have theories that have been met with mixed emotion because I talked about this way back in the day to ESPN when ESPN owned it. I felt that the only Classic qualifications should come from the elites, and that you could take, back then it was 3 divisions of the Opens, and you could take the Angler of the Year in each Open division and put them in the Classic.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I stated that was because the guys in the elites are making their living fishing. They don't have other jobs. They put everything on the table to get to the elites. They sacrificed everything they have to be there. There has to be a reward for that. To add this person in the Classic and this group in the Classic and that group in the Classic, you dilute it. You don't keep it the prestige that it once was. If you remember back in the old days, it wasn't the Opens that built the anglers' reputations. It was the Classic.
Right. Now, I disagree with you for this reason.
Okay. I can't see it.
It's the Brian Kirchhoff fish whistle.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's federation. I guess.
Yes. I think there definitely needs to be at least some amateur representation.
Okay. I don't have an argument for or against that. I just think that
I understand 100% what you're saying.
The tiers of fishing shouldn't be easy to get to the top, is what I'm saying. So here,
Mm-hmm.
so like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been so busy I haven't been reading all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to fish the Opens to qualify for the EQs, correct?
Correct.
You have to fish the EQs to qualify for the elites.
Correct.
Okay. I like that because there's guys that'll fish the Opens that have no desire to fish the elites. They just want to fish the Opens. So if you're truly making a run for the gold, let's call it that. If you're truly making that run,
so much gold.
Yeah. Fool's gold. So if you're truly making that run, okay, it's a logical progression. It makes sense. It's finite. You have to go through this to get through this to get to this. I like that because the serious dudes are going to do what it takes to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I also understand the fact that they want the Opens full. They want to keep the Opens full.
Yep.
But not everybody wants to or can fish the elites. All right. So if they made a separate Opens championship, they would keep
it's like
the
the
Opens.
EQs.
Well, but the EQs are to qualify for the elites.
Right.
Okay. So if I don't care about qualifying for the elites, the only incentive I have to fish the Opens is to try to win some money.
And you can make the classic still.
Well, yeah, and you can make the classics still.
Winning, you're in.
Well, winning, you're in. Okay, that's fine. But you see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah,
still?
no, I do. And they've had an Open championship before. They've had a number of different iterations of it that have gone away. And they had one on Table Rock, I think, that Carl almost won on a glider.
Well, I mean, was that recently?
Yeah, like 5-6 years ago, like before this last iteration.
Yeah, it wasn't when I was.
Listen, like I said, I like this discussion. It is a discussion. It's not. I'm not trying to protect bass, and I'm not trying to bash.
No,
bash. Ooh, that sounds hard to say.
Say that 5 times.
I'm just trying to make sense of it. Point out the good. Point out the bothersome, the questionable. I will say, as a whole, I've probably been in contact with 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 Elite Series guys.
Well, I'll say
it's an offer so far on there.
Yeah, but I'll say this, okay? As I spent most of my life in marketing. When I developed my sponsor portfolio to fish bass, it was pretty good. I didn't have to worry too much about the finances part of this. The way this is set up now, if you don't have an astronomical sponsor package, you probably won't survive, because you won't have the ability to win the difference. And what I mean by that is you can't supplement your income on winnings anymore, unless you finish in the top, 10.
Yeah.
5.
So this is interesting real quick. So Nancy Zipper says, is there no side pots going on at these tournaments? Anyone really know? So side pot fishing, we've had him on the regular BTL show before, actually just announced that there's a $200 entry fee side pot for the elites, which pays out like progressive. So there's like a really good chance, but of course you only get paid in that if you're in the top, the very top finishers, but there will be that side pot fishing will be on the elites this year, which is more cash money.
Okay. I get it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's not an interruption. I'm just trying to process all this information.
Yeah. And so here's the other thing that makes me nervous. I don't care whether it's a sham wow or whether it's a new program at work or what it is, or whether it's MLF or whether it's Bass. Like, if someone has to really try to convince you and tell you how good it is when the numbers are there, you can make reasonable deductions yourself. To me, that's a little bit of a that makes me maybe think twice. Like, makes me really actually look at it. Like, if there's a lot of if I don't know, propaganda is not the right word, but maybe it is.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, it should be good enough.
It should be no entry fees. Here's the deal. Bam.
Right. It shouldn't. Right. 100%. I mean, it should be good enough where you see the benefit.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like, hey, we're giving away $50 gift cards to lurenet.com bi-weekly for the next 5 months.
Right. Easy peasy.
Done. No strings attached. Nothing.
Right.
Like, that's a hell of a deal.
Right. And here, look, I'm gonna be honest with everybody listening and watching this. I was a bass guy from birth. Okay. I only ever wanted to fish bass. Bass was all I cared about. To me, it was the most prestigious thing on
Still
earth.
Is.
Right. When I qualified for the elites.
Yep.
When I made my first classic and the other one after that, most prestigious.
That's why this show exists.
Right. Part of my life. Okay. I ate it, slept it, and breathed it. And I still do to this day. To me, when I was probably 15 years old, Bo Dowden won the St. Lawrence flipping a black and blue jig in the eelgrass. I could never forget that in my life, because it was at that moment I looked at my father and I told him, I'm going to become a professional bass fisherman. In which case he had an aneurysm and yelling at me, telling me, no, I'm going to get a job in a factory and work my way up the ladder and run the company someday. And I said, no, I won't. I will be a bass fisherman. And that is 100% how I, my focus. I've been through changes in Bassmasters that were horrible and that were good in my 12 years of doing it. I remember when they changed the criteria for the classic and I finished 4th in the points, and they were the year prior, they were taking the top 5 in the points, and I finished 4th. And then we had to go to a shootout tournament, which I believe was on the Coosa River. And then they took the top 15 guys or 20 guys. I don't remember exact number. And I finished 2 slots out of it and didn't qualify for the classic off of one event. And there were guys that I beat the brakes off of them all year long that passed me up in that one event to make the classic. And I thought that was crap, because we go back to the Angler of the Year, because consistency in this sport is what rewards you. And they turned it into a gamble, a flip of a coin, if you will. And I was livid over that. And so I was on both sides of changes. I was on the benefit of the good change. I was on the not so benefit of a bad change. So I saw it. What's going on here too, in my opinion, is another series of changes, and they're going to tweak the crap out of it in the next few years, because there's going to be blowback. Most of it's going to come in the form of the payout. So let's say they pay the top 3 in Angler of the Year, all the bottom money can go into the payout. Let's say they get rid of contingency money, throw it back in the payout, give away prizes instead of contingency money, throw it back to the payout. You could bump the payouts up enough where an angler that's not appropriately sponsored can try to supplement with tournament wins. This is all stuff that I guarantee you is going to change in the next several years, because once you make the change, then you're going to see where the problems are. Then you can correct the problems. I believe in Bassmasters, and I don't think the negatives are intentional. I think it's the byproduct of the decision, but those, I believe, will be changed in the future.
Well said, Frank. Like I said, I'll have more information tomorrow on this. And let's talk about fishing a little bit. We don't ever do that. Like, I have always been very hesitant to bring the daily going-ons and the politics of fishing. By God, don't talk about the politics of life on this show. Never will, never have. That's a Mark Jeffries standard. Do you realize one time Mark Jeffries said something very strong political slant to it, and as soon as the show, no, get this, as soon as the show was over, he said, "I'm sorry, dude." He goes, "But I just wasted an hour of your life." He goes, "That will not go out on iTunes or replay." He goes, "I'm deleting that episode right now." And I said, "What? That was a great episode." And he said, we don't do politics on this show." And I just went down a path that I wish I hadn't gone. He goes, "And I'm just stopping them." This was like a long time ago. He goes, "I'm just cutting the show." I said, "Okay."
Perfect.
So anyway, I don't avoid that stuff. This is a massive news. You are a former professional angler on the Elite Series who understands the finances behind the scenes of it. We talked a little bit about before it. I brought it up, so I wanted to get your opinion. I think the viewers, even if you just loosely follow it, that's big news. The no entry fees.
I mean, I'm really glad to touch on it. And like I said, Bassmasters has been near and dear to my heart forever, good, bad, or indifferent, because I was through a ton of changes.
We don't condone censorship. We just would rather have an hour where there's no politics in it.
Yeah. No, listen, I, listen.
100% for free speech.
Yeah, we can't get into the political game, but I'm so sick and tired of it already.
Oh, now you got baited.
I know.
We're done. There, Ryan puts an end to it. He wraps it up. We condone common sense.
Amen, brother. Amen. Okay. So fishing.
Right.
So fishing. So I literally have not made a cast all week, and I am crawling out of my skin. Okay. I was gonna go yesterday, and I got the projects going on in this old house. Okay.
You're wait. That's still not wrapped up?
It's wrapped up. Well, it was wrapped up until this morning when I took a shower.
Oh no, what happened?
It's easy because I hadn't run the shower in like a month or so. One of the gaskets dry rotted out and water was spraying out of the spigot everywhere. So I just got to go get another, shower head. No big deal. No big deal. But yeah, so my buddy is going deer hunting. He's a really good friend of mine. We went to college together and everything.
1 second. 36 minutes and 28 seconds is when you said no big deal. Next week, hopefully, we're not playing that clip in your bathroom's torn apart again. I just wanted to earmark that. Okay, continue on with your story so I can replay that clip for the next 6 months while you podcast all 6 stories of your house.
I'm knocking on wood right now. So he's a good friend of mine. We went to college together. Been through a lot, a lot of fun, a lot of crazy shit. But so he's a contractor. So when I have a big job here that I need more expertise on, he'll come and help me. So when I busted out the shower and had to put the shower pan in, I'm like, Brian, you got to get your ass over here. I don't know. I can't put the shower pan in. So he's like, okay, I got you covered. No problem. So boom, 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 boom. So he goes, go out and get a shower door. And I'm like, okay. So I measure the opening and everything. And of course, in my house, nothing is standard and there's no straight lines anywhere. Okay. So I have to have a custom shower door made. So it finally came in. So I call him up. I'm like, B, you got to come over, dude. We got to get this door in. I got everybody coming home for Thanksgiving, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Well, he got a couple big jobs, so he couldn't do it. So it sat and sat and sat. So I called him up. I said, when are you going to Canada hunting? He goes, I'm leaving Thursday. I said, dude, you got to get over here. We got to get this door in. And so he came over and we were putting the door in, but he had to do it at the end of the day because of his work schedule. So we were working on the door. We were having issues getting everything to fit properly. Mm-hmm. Anyway, long and short of it is, he goes, I'll just come over tomorrow and we'll do it in the morning. And I'm like, dude, I'm fishing tomorrow. You know what I mean? That's my day, man. And he's like, well, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. And then when I get back, I got that job I got to finish. I'm like, all right, fine. So I didn't go fishing and we did the shower door instead. But, it was beneficial. I painted a couple more colors on, crankbaits and stuff. So it worked out, but I haven't been out, and I got to be honest with you. I'm like freaking the hell out because I walk outside, I look at my boat and I put my arms around it. You know what I mean? I'm like, I still like you, man. But it's crazy what not being on the water does to me. It's like really crazy. It's like I fight myself. I feel like lives in some out of Dr. Seuss. Yeah, Jody, you ain't lying.
This is coming from a guy who I think he's done back-to-back bags in the Northeast of 30-plus pound largemouth in tournaments.
Oh my God! Dude.
And also, when I first drove up to Jody's house, I was greeted by like some llamas, and then like some donkeys, and then some geese, and then a flock of sheep.
Perfect.
He lives in like have you ever seen those like PBS like kind of novel shows that they have. Like I feel like they're like always set in like Europe or something where like they live in the countryside and like an idyllic farmhouse with the rolling that's where Jody lives. Like he has there has to be like things with a heartbeat on that farm has to be over 500 between
that's outstanding.
They've got attack llamas.
Excellent.
Okay. It's pretty wild. So for him to see Dr. Seuss house really means something.
So
like I'm gonna pay a lot of money. As he says, see, I don't have room to talk. I live at the Shaftesbury Zoo. People pay people legitimately pay like a lot. Like people travel from all over the world, like continents, to go to the White's farm and like experience it for a couple days.
That's
beautiful. And like all the world famous not yarn spinners or knitters, like it's like a organically hand dyed, so like there's a big garden and all it is thousands of different dyes based on plants. So everything's like there's the sheep that is then turned into the wool that is then dyed with that plant, so that
right. So I'm gonna my brother-in-law's a vet, and he was a big vet and he did a lot of stuff with llamas.
Okay.
So I told him, I said, Steve-O, I said, you got to get me some llama fur, man, because you could tie wicked sculpins and streamer patterns with llama fur. So he's like, okay, cool. So he gets me bags and bags of this fur.
Really?
So yeah. So when I was steelhead fishing all the time, I tied all these flies with llama and sheep. Of course, sheep, you can spin a beautiful head and stuff with sheep. And so I would make these jointed, articulated sculpins using sheep and llama fur. Fabulous, dude. Fabulous. It's outstanding. I've actually tied flies with coyote fur, big streamers, big tarpon streamers with the tail fur. I've tied with all kinds of crazy stuff. Australian possum fur. I've tied with all kinds of crazy stuff, like because to me, as with everything, like my lures I paint and everything else, I want to have stuff nobody has. I want to be different than everybody. And actually, sheep wool's been around forever. People have been tying with it forever. So that's why I gravitated towards the llama and the Australian possum and all this crap.
Wait, you've caught fish on Australian possum?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Blistered them. Like I learned, so I learned a lot about like crayfish and stuff when I was steelhead fishing. Like I've seen things steelhead fishing in the dead of winter that I never thought happened in nature. Okay, I'll give you two stories. You'll love it. So I was out steelhead fishing and I was swinging streamers, and all my streamers were pretty much minnow imitators, flash patterns. You cross cast on your current, you swing through the current stream, and bam, you know what I mean? So I was on the river this one day and I was swinging my minnow patterns, and I was struggling to catch them. And there was a shale shelf that I was standing on, and the shale came out, gradually got deeper, and I was probably knee deep on the shale ledge. If I walked out any farther, there was a little plunge hole. And so I was trying to swing the edges of the plunge hole. All right. I just happened to look down and I saw hundreds and hundreds of crayfish on this shale ledge. Hundreds of them, like the whole bottom looked like it was crawling in the dead of winter. So I pulled out an olive articulated streamer pattern that I had, and I started laying it up on top of the shale shelf and letting it swing off the edge, and I plowed the steelhead. So I didn't realize that. I thought back in the day, I thought crayfish buried in the ground and hibernated all winter, but that's totally not true. 100% not true. And I learned that from steelhead fishing, right?
Yeah.
Draw it out, Frank.
Nick would like you to draw out exactly what I can't even say it out loud. Ed,
What?
edging a plunge hole looks like.
I could tell you what it's
God.
where the current carves in a deep
Yeah.
trench. Anyway, so so we're going down a road here. We're going heard the tastes like eagle. Yeah, they taste like spotted owls. So anyhow, so the other thing I saw, it was January and I was out steelhead fishing and I was basically egging and nymphing. There was a bunch of steelhead in the winter spawners were doing their thing. So the other trout were on egg patterns. Well, I stopped getting bit and there was a big snow drift and I went to my knees and I pulled my fly box out. I set it on the snow and I was going through to change an egg pattern to a different color because I thought my colors might be off. So I was changing and I saw this little black thing starting to poke through the snow. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And so I flicked the snow away and these stone flies were crawling out of the snow. This was in January. So I put a stonefly pattern on and started smacking the trout again. So here I've got an insect hatch going on in the middle of January. I got these crayfish all over the place in December. That's when and this is going back. Clearly, this is going back. And so then I started realizing that I need to know more about the animals in the environment, and that's when I started like full blown going into all that research on the animals. But it was crazy. The things you learn by fishing for other species is unbelievable. And it really helps you bass fishing, which is it's the coolest thing, man. It's so cool.
I have an idea.
Uh-oh.
I want to test it out now and see if we can do a whole show like that. Do you have like a array of pens or drawing things and fresh paper right there?
Yeah, I do.
If you're a game for this could be a total disaster, but I just thought about it. In the comments, if you would like Frank to draw a scenario, fishing.
For crying out loud.
I think this, I'm dead serious, Frank. I think this could be really cool. If you want Frank to draw, if you don't want to, you don't have to, just tell me. But if you have like a fishing scenario that you would like Frank to draw out, I think I would love to see how you do that. I think that could be really cool. I think we could do a show where you literally just do, it's like an artistic show where people come on and say, here's my scenario, and then you draw it out and then we learn based on it. Like, okay. I'm being dead serious. I think there's potential here. If it doesn't work, we'll just bury it.
Well,
I mean, no, like Anthony, Uncle Frank is not gonna draw his neighborhood. But like Ryan, like that, like smallmouth suspended off of a rock pile. Like, where do they sit on a rock pile when they're on it? Like, that's a legit one, right?
Yeah, it's legit. I could easily describe it.
Yeah. Like, how long would it take you to draw that?
Well, how detailed do you want to be for crying out loud? I mean, like, if it's gonna be
basic shapes.
Oh, for crying out loud, you guys
see, people are in about this. They're saying happy trees, Frank Bob Ross, Scalish, live art show, let's go.
Oh, you guys are killing
John,
me.
He said he would like it very detailed.
Dude, it's not inconceivable that I won't see you in the next few days. I will make you pay.
Jeff would like you to draw happy little rock piles.
Okay, you guys are just killing me here, man. It's so easy.
Okay, walk us through what we got going on.
Okay,
Bobby says he's hoping you get a booth at the mall after this.
Yeah, well, that's what scares me. Okay, I'm going to be
Waves, Current, and Ice would like this drawing in color.
Oh,
and Ryan would like to see the stripes of the bass.
Well, you're not gonna. Okay, so as far as the rock pile goes, I like to look for. Okay, is I like to find a sharp break on one side and a gradual taper on the other side. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. All right, you're actively feeding smallmouth. All right, This is crazy.
Dude, this is golden already.
All right. So your actively feeding smallmouth are going to be positioned on top of the rock pile. All right. And so I'll just draw one smallmouth so we don't waste time. Okay. So your actively feeding smallmouth are going to be on top of the rock pile. So they're going to be above the rock pile. Woo, above the rock pile. All right. Now, what happens is your inactive smallmouth, and I don't have room to draw them, so I'm just gonna.
No, that's fine.
I'm just gonna show you something. Your inactive smallmouth are gonna suspend in two zones. And the two zones are going to be weird because they're different, and they're going to be different based on current. Yeah, Jody, God dang it. It looks more like a crappie, I know.
Dude,
all right.
Fantastic. Clay says this is the podcast equivalent to, hey, son, come on out here and show our guests that dance you can do.
Okay, you know what?
No. This is good. Keep going.
I have
this
the
is
ability to end this anytime I want.
I know.
Okay, so when the smallmouth start to suspend, they're going to suspend even with the highest spot off the edge of the steeper drop on the rock pile. Okay, that's where you're going to find them suspending. You're also going to find them suspending over the flat spot, and this distance could be 20 yards or 50 yards or 100 yards. That's how far this distance could be. Okay, now what changes everything is going to be the current. All right, so if you've got your actively feeding fish are going to always be on the in current side. So if your current's hitting the rock pile this way, your active feeders are going to be right in this area here.
Okay.
All right. Now, what you're going to have is as the current rolls over this rock pile, you're going to have eddies behind this rock pile where your inactive fish are going to lay down here. That's where you guys are like, oh, we had to drag the tube so slow. You know what I mean? We had to keep that tube on the bottom to catch them. That's because they were inactive fish on the down current side of the boulder pile. So that's the boulder pile. You see what I'm saying? If I have time to draw something, I can draw it. And I have my cat here chewing on the corner of my computer.
Dude, that was hilarious. You couldn't see what the screen looked like, but all it was the rock pile and then the cat head.
Is that why you were laughing?
Yeah, look. Even the cat wants the smallmouth. You got the cat's attention. Cat's like, this isn't a smallmouth. This is cold. The cat looking for the fish. Good catfish. The catfish moving in. Even the cat wants a smallmouth. Cat looking for the fish. Dude, it was some high quality day 4 content.
And I couldn't see it because I was behind the paper.
No, we need to do that every show. I think that needs to be a segment of the show where, I mean, I don't want to do more work for you if you don't want to do that, but I think a segment of the show is we take a listener submission, and it can't be like premeditated because that was ideal. Like I learned something there. And at the end of the show, we save 10 minutes for Frank's drawing of the day.
Oh my God.
And then we save those drawings.
Oh, well, we're not saving these drawings.
Yeah.
No,
save those.
No.
You have to save those drawings because listen, Nick said, why don't we save those drawings and then turn it into a BTL drawing book and then raffle it off for St. Jude?
Oh, okay.
You don't have to do anything. You just send it to me.
Yeah, okay.
Just save the drawings. We'll do something with the drawings.
All right. What the hell? I'm a sport.
When was the last time you dressed up for Halloween, Frank?
Not in a long, long time. I used to go all in for it. Like oddly enough, I used to go all in. So he lost. Yeah, you'll find that Copenhagen tomorrow morning when it comes out. So I used to do Halloween like a madman when I was younger, mostly because of the girls I dated. we used to go to all the bars and enter all the Halloween costumes. And so one time we used to go skiing in Holiday Valley in New York all the time in Ellicottville, and I made the raisins back in the day. You guys, a lot of the listeners won't
The
know.
California
Yeah,
raisins?
the California raisins. So I made 2 California raisin costumes out of, paper mache and stuff with the exact, like I copied them to the minute. And of course, we won all these contests, but the bar owner at Holiday Valley said, I want those costumes. And I said, okay, no problem. You can have them, dude. And so I gave him the costumes. Of course, it was, free beverages for
ones that look like
me.
that.
Yeah. It was free beverages for me. And so I said, yeah, you can have them. Well, the next couple of years I've been going up there. They had them hanging up in the bar on the ceiling, the big raisin guys. And so it was really cool. One year, dude, this was so stupid. I thought it would be fun to go as a scuba diver and a mermaid. So the girl I was going out with, I said, you're going to be the mermaid. I'll be the scuba diver. Okay. So we made this mermaid costume. And of course it's, scantily made and, the drill. And then I, of course, said, I'll just go rent a wetsuit. And so I rented a wetsuit, the mask, and a whole 9 yards. And we went to do this mermaid scuba diver costume thing. The one thing I didn't realize is you will absolutely sweat your ass off in a wetsuit in a bar. And
then you had to return that thing.
Oh, dude, I couldn't even get it off. I mean, it was stuck to me.
You went back to the house after a long night. You're like, oh yeah, I got this mermaid. 3 hours later, you're tired. I can't get wet.
Exactly, 100%, dude. It was. Oh God, 100%. And so but yeah, I used to go all in. But anymore, I don't do. Nah. I don't. Hell, I'm not even passing candy out this year.
Were you walking and did you have the flippers?
I had all of it.
Oh yeah, that sounds like an awkward costume.
Oh, dude, and everybody would stand on the flippers and laugh when I'd almost trip and kill myself. You know the drill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even do the candy. You turn the lights off of the.
Yeah.
The mansion. The mansion lights get turned off. Huh?
Oh, yeah, the mansion. All right.
Well, yeah. Stories, isn't it?
It's what?
How many stories is it? You got the base, then the kitchen level, then three more above that, and then an attic. It's like 6 stories, Frank.
No, it's 3. It's 3 floors and a basement. And the basement doesn't count because if you ask any real estate people, the basement doesn't count.
Really? That's where all the good stuff is. That's where
I know.
The mad scientist goes to work.
I know. I was painting up some beauties yesterday. Holy smokes, man.
Really?
Yeah, I can't. I can't wait. So yeah, I don't know. It's like create on demand. These guys are great, the people that I work for, but I can't show them anything ahead of time because they pilfer it.
Want it.
Yeah, they pilfer it. Oh, we got to put that out right now, and then all of a sudden I'm behind again.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but I got some really good stuff coming out in the future. Oh my God, I've been experimenting with all kinds of different stuff, and it's turning out. I was pleasantly surprised. I actually even made some spinnerbait skirts the other day because when I was out fishing, I saw these bait fish swimming by my boat, and I laid down on the front deck of the boat and I put my hands over my head to look at them, a foot underwater to see what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, holy shit, I could duplicate that. And I duplicated it, and I can't wait to get out there and throw that spinnerbait and see if that skirt matters.
He has mentioned this like 4 times now. Answer me. I bait to do a show.
Oh, you broke up, Matt. You got to repeat yourself.
Do you know enough about glide baits to do a show on glide baits?
No, I'm not efficient at glide baits. never even thrown a glide bait.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's okay. So that, so like I wanted Ben to teach me how to fish a glide bait the right way. And I just can't drop everything and run to his neck of the woods easily with all the stuff I got going on. So we kind of prolonged it. not going to do it, just prolonged it.
And then do you have the drop? Do you have the color? There's still some folks that want to see that color for the new signature series SCALISH drop.
I would have to run downstairs and
it's, if you guys want to, Frank's shown it on the last 2 weeks. You can go back and look at it that way.
Yeah, it's called Cloud 9.
And it drops on November
7th.
Yep.
Remember, it's always the first Thursday of the month.
November 7th is when it drops.
Correct. And since we're not doing a show, next week, right? Because you're
correct.
Yeah, we're not doing a show on the 7th. So remember that. And here, if you sign up for the newsletter, you get the pre-notification on the drops. So
that's handy.
Yeah, it's pretty handy because you'll get notified. Bing, Cloud 9 now available. Bing, Cloud 9 now sold out. I like that color a lot. I didn't want it to be a signature series. I wanted it in a limited run, so there would be a ton available. But it's a great color. Love it. I actually have one I'm working on that's a tweak to that color too. So hopefully that'll show up in the future in a limited run. But it's not exactly the same as the Cloud 9.
Anything else?
No, man. That's it. I'm just curious. I'm curious to see what the tweaks and changes are going to be in Bassmasters in the next 3 years, because I have a feeling they're gonna make it good.
Yeah, I still have faith in them.
Yeah, you just got to bear with it till they can figure out all the little nuances, and then I think it'll be really good.
All right.
Oh, you know what? I'm going steelhead fishing Sunday.
Oh.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine that got into fly fishing. He was in the farm league for the Cleveland Indians and then got traded to a different farm league. He was in there, and when he got traded, he was on the coast, and so he started fly fishing saltwater, and so I tied a bunch of flies for him and stuff like that, and then he got into the steelhead game, and we don't see each other that much because he lives farther away from me than he used to, and so whenever he gets time to come up, we try to go fishing. We used to bass fish all the time, but now he's into the fly rod game. So we're going to sneak out Sunday and see if we can't swing up a few chromers. We'll see how it goes.
What's a good day of steelheading? 3?
Lately, I mean, it's surely not what I would consider a good day, but the runs are just starting to come in. So up the rivers, you're running into smaller pods of fish. I've had days where I've caught 70. I've had days where I've caught 1. Most of the time, good day to me is 4 to 10 fish.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. So those are fish that they're all stocked.
They live in Lake Erie.
But I'm saying, where do they start? Do they stock them in the river and then they go to Lake Erie and then come back to the river? Do they stock them in Lake Erie and then they come up there? Like, what's the life cycle of one of these Great Lakes steelhead?
Okay, so they stock them in the rivers because then they'll go up. Most of them will go up the same rivers they were stocked in. So they stock them up the rivers. So a true steelhead actually lives in the ocean.
Yep.
And then runs up the freshwater rivers on the coastlines. But they do the same thing in the Great Lakes, just like the salmon do in the Great Lakes. They live in the Great Lakes and then they migrate up the rivers to spawn. So you've got two sets of steelhead. You've got late fall spawners, early winters, and then you've got spring spawners. So you got an influx of steelies in the fall. They go up the river to do their thing. Usually they'll winter in the rivers also. Some fall back to the lake after they're done spawning. Some stay in the rivers till spring and then fall back. The ones in the spring come up, do their business, and leave. And the migration on them is crazy. High water episodes, I've seen steelhead in culvert ditches. The high water episodes, they run up every tributary they can get up, and sometimes literally it's a stream you could step across, and you see their backs out of the water.
Oh, really? And they'll eat.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, like, what's the? I mean, like, if you put something in front of one, it eats it.
Once fishing pressure starts, they get really accustomed. Like I've seen them where I'm when I'm nymphing for them or egging and nymphing, they'll be sitting there and my bug will go by them and they literally go boom out of the way. The bug drifts by and they come back. Yep. I've seen them get so finicky that it actually aggravates me. So I started tying these heavy flash pattern streamers, and I'll swing a streamer above their head there because their strike windows conical like that. I'll swing it right above their nose, and just out of reflex, they snap at it, and then I'll catch some of those ones that won't take a traditional, egg and nymph or a traditional, woolly bugger tumbling down the current. So you can make them bite. They're just like a bass, really. But if you get the right,
then they just go nuts.
Oh, they go ballistic. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's you hook up with them, and then half the time, if you get one over 10 pounds, you're running downstream after it. The 3 and 4 pounders, you could pretty much stand still and let them fight the rod, and you could get them. But the big ones, dude, you're running after them downstream. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic. And then what's the percentage of guys you keep? Like, I know, like when I was in Alaska, like if you look at them wrong, people yell at you. Like you keep them in the water, you make sure all this. Like, is that the same there? Is there stock? I mean, are they good table fare if you keep a couple smaller ones?
I've eaten them and I can't stand them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like they're nothing close to a salmon. Not even in close. I don't
kill like a rainbow trout.
Well, even a rainbow trout is better than a steelhead, in my opinion. Now, I've had them smoked, and the smoke, they're astronomical. But I don't kill them. I mean, I have, like I've had one that didn't survive, and I take it home. And when I taught Frankie how to do it, we used to live by a steelhead stream. And that little shit would come home with steelhead all the time. I'd be like, stop keeping these things. I got a freezer full of these giant silver logs, dude. Stop keeping them. One time, I'm like, he's like, Dad, I want to go to the creek and steelhead fish. And I'm like, you need to be home at 3:00, or it was a time. I gave him a time that he had to be home from. And I got panicky because part of the neighborhood I used to live in wasn't great. Okay. So I would get panicky when he wouldn't be around. Plus he'd be at the stream by himself. So I'm getting nervous because he's a little past when I told him to be home. So I started walking down to the stream. And here I see him coming up the street on his bicycle with these steelhead roped off to his handlebars of his bicycle, tails dragging in the street. I'm like, dude, stop bringing them home.
Dude, that brings back some memories. I used to bike down to the Sangamon River, and it was probably a 4 or 5 mile bike, but I brought back flatheads. I brought back common carp. I brought back gar. And I would sling them over the shoulder on the bike. And I'm like, I didn't have pick cameras there. So I'm like, dude, like, this is the biggest carp I've ever caught in my life. I need a picture. So I'd truck the thing all the way home on my bike and have my dad take a picture of the carp.
And then plant them in the garden.
No, I remember I caught like a 20-pound flathead one time, and that thing was a pain in the butt to get on that bike trail all the way home.
Oh yeah, no kidding, dude. It's like carrying home a backpack full of boulders.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
All
great.
right, Frank. That was a good show today. We bloviated about a lot of different things, but
Yes, we did. By God.
I enjoyed the hell out of it. So
Yeah, it was fun.
whoa, there we go. I
There
usually
we
try to I like to start it like this and then slowly see how you
Gradually.
slowly bring it in. That lets people know the end of the show instead of just blasting them with it at 37 volume. I'll take the L on that one.
Outstanding.
All right, this has been another edition of Day 4 with the man Frank SCALISH. We'll talk to everyone later. See ya.
Bye.